Hello, this is Destridgnir, and once again I'm reading from the Thousand Nights and One Night. However, you must know that this giant tome of tales holds many adult themes like alcohol and rape and incest and necrophilia and a whole bunch of other stuff. So what you hear tonight probably don't exercise in person. And these tales are for amusement, and some of them are allegory, and so on and so forth. And I'm rambling. So this is the end of my disclaimer, and I hope you enjoy listening as much as I enjoy reading this to you. And when the third night had come, Dunyazad said, "Sister, I pray you finish your tale." To this Scheherazade answered, "Gladly and with all my heart." Then she continued, "It is related, O auspicious king, that when the third sheik had told the most wonderful tale of the three, the genie was struck with wonder and trembled with pleasurable emotion. At last he said, "I grant you the rest of the forfeit, and here relinquish this merchant to you." Then the merchant, in an ecstasy of happiness, came and thanked the sheiks, and they, in their turn, congratulated him on his safe deliverance. After this, each returned to his own country. But, continued Shahrazad, these tales are in no way more wonderful than the tale of the fisherman. "What is the tale of the fisherman?" asked the king. And Shahrazad said, The Fisherman and the Genie. It is related, O auspicious king, that there was once a fisherman, very old and poor, who was married and had 3 children. He used to cast his net 4 times a day, never more often. Now once, when he had gone to the shore at noon, he set down his basket and, casting his net, waited for it to sink to the bottom. When he had done so, he twisted the cords and found it so heavy that he could not pull it in. So, bringing the ends to shore, he made them fast to a wooden stake. Then he undressed and, diving into the sea, labored till he had hauled the net ashore. Dressing himself again in high good humor, he examined the net and found that it contained a dead ass. Disgusted at the sight, he exclaimed, "Be it as Allah wills," and added, "It is a strange gift that Allah has seen good to send me." Then he recited this verse, "Blind diver in the dark of night and loss, luck delights not in energy, cease and be still." After he had freed the net and squeezed the water out of it, he waded into the sea and cast it again, invoking the name of Allah. When the net had sunk to the bottom, he again tried to pull it ashore, but this time it was even heavier and harder to sift. Thinking that he had gotten some great fish, he hastened the ends to the stake, and, undressing again, dived in and carried the net to shore. This time he found a great earthen jar full of mud and sand. In his disappointment at the sight, he proclaimed these verses. "I said I wished that fortune would die or fly away, who lets a man be virtuous and then keep back his pay. I left my house to look for luck, a search I now abandon. She dropped the wise man in the muck for all the fools to stand on, and, having fixed the state of things, she either died or sprouted wings." Then he threw away the jar and cleaned his net, asking pardon from Allah the while for his lack of submission to the divine will. And finally, coming down to the sea, he cast for the 3rd time and waited for the net to sink. When he hauled it in this time, the net was full of broken pots and pieces of glass. Seeing this, he recited the stanza of a certain poet. "Be not astonished that the golden wind blows the world forward, leaving you behind. There are no dinars in a rosewood pen for any but a merchant's hand to find." Then lifting his face to the sky, he cried, "Allah, Allah, thou knowest that I cast my net but 4 times in the day, and see, I have already cast it thrice." After this he once more cast his net into the sea, again invoking the name of Allah, and waited for it to sink. This time, in spite of all of his efforts, he could not move the net an inch, so hard was it held against the rocks below the water. Again he undressed, crying, "Be it as Allah wills," and diving for the 4th time, began to work the net until he had freed it and brought it to the shore. This time he found in it a great jar of yellow copper, heavy and unhurt, its mouth stoppered with lead and sealed with the seal of Lord Sulayman, son of Dawood. Seeing this, the fisherman was delighted and said, "Here is something that I can sell at the market of the coppersmiths. It must be worth at least 10 dinars of gold." Then, after trying to shake the jar and finding it too heavy, he continued, "First I had better open the jar and hide whatever it contains in my basket. Then I shall be able to sell the thing itself to the coppersmiths." So he took his knife and began to work the lead until he had removed it. Then he turned the jar over and shook it, but nothing came out except a cloud of smoke, which rose to the blue sky and also spread along the earth. Finally the smoke, to the utter amazement of the fisherman, came clear of the vase and, shaking and thickening, turned to an Ifrit whose top reached the clouds, while his feet were on the ground. The head of this Ifrit was like a dome, his hands like pitchforks, his legs like the masts of a ship, and his mouth like a cave in which the teeth had the appearance of great stones. His nostrils were like jugs, his eyes like torches, and his hair was dusty and matted. At the appearance of this being, the fisherman was so frightened that his muscles quivered, his teeth chattered together, and he stood with burning mouth and eyes that could not see the light. While the genie, in his turn, saw the fisherman, he cried, "There is no other god but Allah, and Salumain is Allah's prophet." Then, speaking directly to the fisherman, he said, "O great Salumain, O thou prophet of Allah, slay me not. Never again will I be disobedient or mutiny against thy just decrees." Then the fisherman said, "Darest thou, O blasphemous giant, to call Salumain the prophet of Allah? Salumain has been dead for 1800 years, and we have come to the end of the world's time. What tale is this? How did you come to be in the jar?" At these words the genie altered his tone and said, "There is no other god but Allah. I bring good news, O fisherman." "What news is that?" asked the poor man. And the genie answered, "News of your death, instant and most horrible." "Let Allah be far from rewarding you for such news, Prince of the Efrat. Why do you wish my death, and how have I deserved it? I delivered you out of your jar, breaking your long imprisonment in the sea." But the Efreet only answered, "Consider and choose the manner of death which you would prefer, and the way I shall kill you." "What is my fault? What is my fault?" repeated the wretched fisherman. "Listen to my story, and you shall know," said the Ifrit. "Speak then, and make your tale a short one," said the fisherman, "for my soul is ready to run out of my feet for very fear." So the Ifrit began. "Know that I am Sakar al-Jini, one of the rebel Ifrit who mutinied against Salumain, son of Dawood. There was a time when Salumain sent his vizier Azaf ibn Barakia against me, who overpowered me in spite of all my strength and led me into the presence of Salumain. You may believe that at the moment I humbled myself very, very low. Saluman, seeing me, prayed to Allah and conjured me both to take that faith and to promise him obedience. When I refused, he had this jar brought before him and imprisoned me within. Then he sealed it with lead and pressed thereupon the Most High name. Lastly, certain faithful jinn took me upon their shoulders at his order and cast me into the middle of the sea. I stayed in the water for 100 years and kept on saying, 'I shall give eternal riches to him who sets me free.' But the 100 years passed and no one set me free. So when I was entering on the second 100 years, I swore, 'To him who sets me free I will both show and give all the treasures upon the earth.' But no one freed me, and 400 years passed away, and I said, 'To him who frees me I will give 3 years of his heart.' But still no one set me free. So I flew into a heat of passion in my jar and swore, 'Now I will kill the man who frees me, my only gift being the choice of the death. And it is you, O fisherman, who have set me free. Therefore I let you choose the death that you die.' Hearing their feet speak in this way, the fisherman could not help exclaiming, 'O Allah, the bad luck of it! It would have been left for me to do this freeing. Spare me, O genie, and Allah will spare you. Kill me, and be very sure that he will raise up one to slay you also.' Then said the Ifrit, 'I shall kill you because you freed me. There is no help for it.' On this the fisherman exclaimed, 'Prince of the Ifrit, indeed! Is this how you repay good with evil? The proverb does not lie, which says, "If you would know the taste of bitterness, seek sorrow out and comfort her distress. You need not feed a jackal cub to see just how ungrateful gratitude can be." But the Ifrit said, "You have used words enough. Prepare to meet your end." Then the fisherman reasoned with himself in this way, "Though I am a man and he is a genie, yet Allah has given me my share of brains. I think I see a trick, a stroke of subtlety, which may undo him yet." Then aloud to the Ifrit he said, "You are determined that I shall die?" And when the other said, "No doubt of that," the fisherman solemnly addressed him thus, "I conjure you by the Most High name graved on the seal of Saluman to answer me one question truthfully." And when the Ifrit, dashed by hearing the Most High name, promised that he would answer truthfully, the fisherman asked, "How could this jar, which, as it is, scarcely could hold a foot or hand of yours, have ever hold the whole of you?" "Can it be that you doubt this thing?" asked the Ifrit. And the other answered, "Never would I believe it unless I saw it with my own eyes entering this jar." But at this point, Shahrazad saw the coming of morning and fell silent.